This is the heart of the Forest of Dean, which has always been one of Britain's great forests. Areas like this are increasingly popular for recreation, but it's also one of the most valuable habitats for some of our rare and most seldom seen wildlife. In this series, I'm visiting some of Britain's most outstanding areas of natural beauty to really find out what's going on beneath the surface.
There it is.
This week, I'm in the Forest of Dean, where I'm hoping to see creatures that until recently were extinct in this area. The elusive goshawk, the magnificent wild boar, and one of my favourite animals, the hazel dormouse. The Forest of Dean is situated in western Gloucestershire, between the Severn Estuary and the gorges of the River Wye. It's one of Britain's few remaining ancient forests. 27,000 magnificent acres of beech, sweet chestnut and 300-year-old oaks tower above young saplings, shrubs and flowers that decorate the forest floor, providing food and shelter for the creatures that live here. First, I want to track down one of the forest's most important inhabitants. Deer are actually the reason why the forest exists today. In the 11th century, it was protected as a royal hunting reserve, where kings could hunt wild boar, red deer, roe deer, and fallow deer. Today, the forest hides 400 fallow deer. But if you look carefully, there are signs all around which can lead you to these wary creatures.
That's the track of a fallow deer. In the old days, when people were trying to establish how big an animal was, particularly fallow deer, it was gauged by the size of its track. And you can judge the width by how many fingers. 3 fingers long, so not a really big one. It's probably a young animal. I can't tell from just the one track whether it's male or female. Fallow deer are very alert. If they see you or they hear you, they don't necessarily run off, but if they smell you, the chances are you won't even know that they were there. You can see which way the wind's going. I've got some talcum powder here. So wind's coming straight up at us. That's ideal. It means our scent is going that way. There's a deer trail here going across the side of the hill. We're going to follow that. Our scent is always going to go uphill now. Our attention is going to be forwards and to the left. You can see here a couch where a deer has been lying, and here and here. It's a very faint sign. There are some hares as well.
It's midday, and the deer are likely to be bedded down somewhere, chewing the cud. I'm going to wait until later in the day to continue my search. Spring is a wonderful time of year when the forest is simply bursting with life. By summer, the trees will be in full leaf, casting the forest floor in shade. But for these few weeks in spring, the floor-dwelling plants take advantage of the available light to flower and create this incredible display.
It begins with the whites, the wood anemone, the wood sorrel, the wood bittercress, and then you get the yellow flowers like lesser celandine. They explode like fireworks on the forest floor, all in preparation for the grand finale, the bluebells.
By mid-spring, the woodland floor is covered in a stunning carpet of blue. Bees are busy pollinating the flowers until early June, when the bluebells finish their life cycle and disappear until next year. The diversity of trees and plants in an ancient forest such as this is not only beautiful, but also provides food for a variety of animals.
We're looking for the cases of hazelnuts, and a whole range of different animals, particularly rodents, feed on them. And the way their teeth work leaves different evidence that can help us to find what we're looking for. You can see here, for example, this one here has been broken open by a squirrel. A squirrel will break a nut open from the ends, particularly adults can really get their teeth around and just break the nut in half. Whereas this one has a really neat hole in it, the sort of thing a dormouse leaves.
During winter, when food is scarce, dormice have to hibernate in order to survive. They sleep in hollow tree trunks, in nests woven from available plant materials.
This is interesting. This is honeysuckle. One of the things to look out for is signs that the honeysuckle bark has been stripped. Now, it does peel naturally, but that actually looks to me like it may have been pulled off. Why that's significant is that dormice line their nests with honeysuckle bark.
Sadly, the loss of habitat caused by the construction of new roads and poor woodland management means that the common dormouse is not so common anymore. In an effort to protect them, the Forestry Commission has set up a nest box scheme. Their only female wildlife ranger, Sid Davis, has agreed to inspect them while I'm here.
So that's the next nest box, is it?
Yes. Yes, we have a mouse.
Look at that. Aren't they beautiful?
He's still sleeping, but he's breathing quite heavily.
They are so cute.
During hibernation, the dormouse's temperature drops to match its surroundings, and its heart rate falls by 90% to conserve energy.
He's actually waking up now. Normally it would take them, when they've been into hibernation, about 20 minutes to wake up, but because the temperature is quite warm, he's ready to run about.
He's beautiful. When we worked in the fields and in the hedges, people used to keep them as pets, didn't they?
They did, yes. These days, people don't come across them quite as frequently as they would have done years ago. This is why we put boxes up to try and monitor how many there are in the woodlands.
And what do we know? How are they doing?
In this part of the world, in this woodland, they're doing really well.
That's great news.
Thanks to these efforts, the dormouse is thriving despite having to compete with far larger animals. The small shrubs that provide food and shelter for the dormouse are also a favourite food of the fallow deer. Just as I thought, as we head towards evening, the deer have started to emerge from the denser woodland to graze in this plantation on the edge of the forest.
It's just a small group of bucks there. It's lovely to see. But I can see them because they're moving their tail. The fallow deer has the longest tail of any British wild deer species, and it's a dead giveaway. You see that tail flick, even hundreds of metres away, you can tell straight off what species it is. But despite that, their camouflage is remarkable. In fact, if you don't know they're there, you can look at a fallow deer and it's almost like you can see through them. Their coat, their pelage is just so perfectly toned. I often think that bucks at this time of year, once they've lost their antlers, they kind of retire for a little while. They're not at their best, and they go away to repair themselves and get ready for the coming year. They've got this particular way that they look at you. They see what you are. They're not fooled. They're very intelligent, I think. If they smell you, they just vanish. They just filter into the woods like mercury.
While I'm here, I'm also hoping to see wild boar. and goshawks, and prepare a tasty meal from what the forest has to offer. I've come to one of Britain's most ancient forests, the Forest of Dean in Gloucestershire. This rich habitat is home to a variety of birds, mammals, insects and plants. But until very recently, one important forest inhabitant has been missing. The wild boar was a favourite quarry for the royal hunt, but 300 years ago the last boar was hunted out. Just recently, they were reintroduced to the forest. No one knows for sure where they came from, but it's thought they may have escaped from a local farm. 6 years on, and the boar are thriving. At this time of year, sows are out in the forest with their piglets, rooting for tender tubers and grubs, using their sensitive noses like small ploughs. The piglets will be fully weaned at 4 months old, but until then they're happy suckling from any of the sows in their group.
These footprints here belong to the wild boar. Wild boar kind of walk down at heel a little bit, rather like a teenager that scuffs their heels. And because of that, the shorter dew claws, which are higher up on the foot, often show in soft ground. And that's exactly what we've got here. But this track here is very large. You see the mark it's made as it's gone in? That's a very big animal. Maybe that's the boar.
The tracks lead to this small depression at the edge of the forest that has collected water, creating a sticky mud bath.
Well, it looks like they've been having a fine old time here. This is a wallow. No prizes for guessing what they like to do there. I guess it's their version of a beauty treatment. They come in here and wallow, and it helps to get rid of parasites from their fur. Quite a sight, isn't it? They've had a glorious time in there.
The boar's recent reappearance is controversial. Locals are concerned that their relentless rooting in the topsoil for tubers and insects can damage the forest plant life, whereas others recognise the constant churning helps to spread seeds and let the soil breathe. So the boar are actually contributing to the diversity of the forest. Personally, I think they're beautiful, but my chances of seeing them up close will be far better at dusk when the boar are more confident. I've enlisted the help of wildlife ranger Neil Solis, and for the last few nights he's been laying out grain to attract the boar to a certain spot where we'll return this evening, and hopefully I'll be in luck. While the day is still young, I'm making the steep climb to the top of a south-facing slope to try to find one of the forest's best camouflaged creatures.
You see him just there. He's unaware of us. Very nice and gentle. You see him just there.
The bracken on this ridge traps the heat from the sun, making it the ideal place for adders to bask and warm up in order to become fully active. Adders are distinctive for their black diamond pattern that acts as a warning. They are Britain's only venomous snake. They use their venom to catch and kill their prey, usually small rodents, but otherwise adders are not typically aggressive and will only use their venom as a last means of defence.
Beautiful markings. They're lovely. As soon as they want to disappear, they slide into some cover and they just rely on their camouflage. It's so effective. There's a zigzag pattern on their back, just like the edge of a bracken leaf. They're such lovely creatures and they're so persecuted. People have this deep-seated fear of snakes, and you can understand that. But today, you know, we walk around with great big heavy boots on. We're much more of a threat to the snake than the other way around.
This rich natural habitat wouldn't be here if it wasn't for man-made industry. Both Lord Nelson and Sir Francis Drake had oaks planted here to provide the huge timbers necessary to build their ships. And the timber industry continues in the Forest of Dean today. Coniferous plantations sit alongside the older broadleaf trees, creating a rich and varied tapestry. This mixed woodland is hugely beneficial to one animal in particular. It's one of our most elusive and magnificent birds of prey, the goshawk, the phantom of the forest. Goshawks hunt amongst the open alleyways created by the deciduous trees. Their broad wings enable it to fly at high speed to catch its prey on the wing. But goshawks also take advantage of the denser coniferous woodland.
Got all these beautiful larch trees, and it's likely that the goshawks will put their nest high up in a tall one of these. You can see what a tangle it is, which gives them good cover. The twigs of the larch are excellent for locking together, so make good nesting material.
Let's see if I can get a better viewpoint. Let's go back the other way.
In the 1960s and 70s, goshawks were reintroduced from Scandinavia after relentless persecution drove them to extinction within the UK.
You could hear the goshawk. There's a blue tit in the nest, stealing downy feathers. Cheeky devil. And we've seen the female fly over, so I think she may well have spotted us. Obviously, it's not just me here, there's the crew and everybody. So we're going to back off now. I'm going to leave a wildlife cameraman here to see what he can get.
This female is one of 40 goshawks breeding here in the forest. Across the country, there are now 400 breeding pairs. They're making a confident recovery, and as a top predator, their presence here reflects the general health of the forest. Spring is a great time for observing wildlife, as all the forest animals are out and about, taking advantage of the sudden abundance of food. As the forest comes to life, there's ample opportunity for me too to forage and discover what's on offer. Today I'm going hunting for a salad.
This little plant, and that's golden saxifrage. It's on the bitter side, but it's a nice addition to my salad. I'm going to collect a little bit of that. And this little delicate plant is my favourite British wild salad plant. This is wood bittercress. What I like to do is to keep this plant from flowering, keep chopping the flowers back, and then you get a bushy plant that's a little less bitter. Wonderful. Hope I can find some more.
Although some of these leaves are edible, there are plants here that are poisonous and dangerous to eat. It's taken me years to be able to identify which is which, so be very careful not to eat any plants unless you're guided by an expert.
Now this is one of the wild plants that everybody really knows. It's people call it wild garlic. I know it as ramsons. It's actually an onion. It's the wild onion, Allium ursinum. And just walking through this, you just get this garlic smell everywhere. And the way I like to use it is to take the flower bud and sprinkle them into the salad because they give nice colour and a much more delicate garlic flavour. And they're really nice. This is what I'm looking for. This is the small-leaved lime tree. It's a tree that once was very abundant in Britain, but is much less so today. But they're very delicate, and that's, I guess, our wild lettuce in a way, if you like. It's the equivalent of lettuce in a salad. Got one last wild ingredient for my salad, and that's a little bit of this cherry blossom. I don't want too much of this. It's got a little bit of cyanide in it, but it gives it a slight almond flavour. Very delicate, very nice. It's quite sweet. I think I'll put a little bit of tomato in and some oil, and there we go. Now that looks and smells absolutely wonderful. Well, I've enjoyed the walk, but now is the joy of the eating. Let's see how that is. Believe me,
It's every bit as good as it looks.
I love the forest. The more time I spend like this within it, the more connected to this secret world I become. 500 years ago, 3/4 of Britain would have looked like this. We're lucky that there are still places today where we can witness this incredible wildlife firsthand. Before I leave, I'm heading back to the area where wildlife ranger Neil Solis has been laying out grain to attract the wild boar. It's nearly dusk, the boar's favourite time to forage for food, and clearly the grain is too tempting to resist.
You can see here we've got the 2 sows have come down with their piglets. That one there, she's a lot more alert. The wind's all over the place and they can scent us. She can hear me now, I think, as well. The other sow's completely unconcerned. And the piglets, well, they're just having the time of their life there. Wasn't that neat? That's something very few people in Britain have seen. It's an animal that really should be in our landscape. But the challenge will be for us to learn to live alongside it, because I think we're going to see a lot more of these animals in